The introduction of the Gripen and Rolls-Royce into our national defense dialogue marks the beginning of a defining new era in the realm of air power, a period that can best be described as the moment Canada takes control. The revolution that is currently taking place within Canada's military department is more substantial, visceral, and far-reaching than anything the country has experienced in the past few decades. We are a nation currently standing at a crossroads, and the implications of this shift are significant, determining not just what we fly, but who we are as a sovereign power. There were several factors that contributed to the formation of this historical period, including the country's vast and unforgiving geography, our evolving military strategy, a heritage of engineering excellence, and the resurgence of our national identity. First things first, before we get into the full story, it is crucial to understand that the information we are unpacking here represents one of the most significant developments in contemporary air power, and it will have a direct impact on the defense of Canada for the next 50 years. A single fighter jet, a single engine, and a single strategic decision are all contributing to the shaking of the foundations of air power in the North, and we must not waste any time going right into the story of how this event transpired. With the objective of purchasing 88 of the most cutting-edge, stealth-driven, and digitally connected fighters that have ever been produced, Canada has been going in the direction of the F-35 for a number of years. And this trend is expected to continue as part of our high-end commitment. From the paper, it seemed as though the conclusion was reasonable, as since a very long time ago, the nation has been a reliable ally of the United States. For high-end conflict, the F-35 is equipped with stealth that is unmatched, sensors that are at the leading edge of technology, and the capability to carry out deep attacks into heavily defended airspace, all of which are capabilities that are necessary in a dangerous world. On the other hand, a conversation that was more quiet began to take hold just behind the polished presentations and international pressure. Time led to an increase in expenses that made fiscal conservatives pause, while the requirements for maintenance became more stringent, often requiring climate-controlled facilities that are scarce in the remote north. Timelines were altered in a different way than expected, and additionally, the deep integration of the aircraft with the infrastructure of the United States resulted in long-term dependence, which caused military strategists to express anxiety about our ability to act alone. We must never forget that Canada encompasses a great deal of land in its territory, the second largest landmass on Earth, and the environment in the Arctic is quite hostile. Distant locations present difficulties in terms of logistics that European nations simply do not face. When it comes to operating an aircraft from a short, icy runway with minimal support, stealth is advantageous in combat, yet it is not helpful when the jet is trying to function in sub-zero temperatures. Stealth enables the aircraft to operate more efficiently against radar, but it does not keep the pilot warm or the engine running when the wind chill hits -50. The discourse began to open up in a manner that was both progressive and steady, acknowledging that perhaps one size does not fit all for a country as vast as ours. As soon as this occurred, the Saab Gripen E, a fighter aircraft that was developed expressly for the conditions that are typical of Canada, found its way into the open area of strategic consideration. It is not possible to identify the Gripen E as a machine in the traditional sense. Rather, in order to develop this device, a number of factors were taken into consideration that mirror our own reality, including frigid climates, remote air bases, fast turnaround times, and modular engineering. Under conditions where the temperature is below freezing, it wakes up quite quickly, a trait that is non-negotiable when an interception order comes in. It operates out of a number of rather brief airstrips, including highways and frozen lakes, and it is able to spread across small bases despite the fact that it makes use of only a limited quantity of equipment. The ability to return to the air within a short period of time after landing makes it possible for Canada to conduct frequent patrols and maintain a continual presence in the Arctic, which is exactly what the federal government of Canada demands without the need for expansive hangars or expensive infrastructure support. The Gripen is designed to be maintained by small teams, particularly on harsh terrain, which is in contrast to many other current fighters, which are designed to be maintained by large crews in pristine environments. Consequently, it is a good choice for a nation in which missions are spread out throughout a large region and where there are limited logistical networks. Rather than aiming for theoretical perfection, the Gripen was built to be as realistic as possible by its designers, answering the need for reality in Canada. After that, the Rolls-Royce engine option is presented, which is the twist that brings the discussion to an even higher level than it was before it. This is not only a brand new power plant, it is a declaration of independence. Please understand that the term autonomy refers to this concept in its absolute sense. The degree to which a nation is able to modify, upgrade, or otherwise alter American military platforms is directly proportional to the export controls that their country imposes. The software, mission data, and even the maintenance of the F-35 over the long term are all still subject to approval from the United States before they can be implemented. The introduction of the Gripen, which is powered by a Rolls-Royce engine, has allowed Canada to achieve a whole new degree of sovereignty. The consequence of this is that control over upgrades is granted to Ottawa, not Washington. It is because of this that local teams have a greater opportunity to participate in the design of the engine and the integration of new weapon systems. It frees the nation from the cycles of foreign authorization that slow down operations and limit the speed with which the country can adjust to new circumstances. Suddenly, the combatant undergoes a transformation that elevates them above the status of a machine. It serves as a symbol of a nation that is in charge of its own destiny and is responsible for its own future. This move taps into a deep vein of patriotism because innovation, engineering brilliance, and a thriving domestic sector have been the defining attributes of Canada's aerospace industry for a very long time. This industry has always carried a distinct identity, and for many of us, recollections of the Avro Aero continue to arouse feelings of national pride. That is something that is taken advantage of by the Gripen E strategy, which seeks to heal those old wounds by reinvigorating our industrial base. Saab's on-site assembly, knowledge transfer, strong cooperation with Canadian firms, and long-term sustainment plans had the potential to provide thousands of employment opportunities to towns and cities all over the country. Saab offered these opportunities not as a gift, but as a partnership. The Canadian company Bombardier, which is widely recognized as one of the most prominent technical symbols in the country, would have a role in the production, signaling a return to form for our domestic manufacturing giants. As members of the network, smaller aerospace companies would be encouraged to participate, ensuring that the economic benefits are felt from coast to coast. Participation in joint projects would be encouraged amongst universities and research centers in the fields of advanced materials, software integration, and systems engineering. The acquisition of this is not a simple process, but there has been a reappearance of ambition. It is an opportunity to reestablish the aerospace sector on Canadian territory and to increase the capability of the country over the course of the next many decades. A change in the strategic environment is brought about as a result of Canada's consideration of a new kind of cooperation concurrently with the events that are taking place. The United Kingdom, Canada, and Sweden are currently forming a new defense triangle. This triangle is dominated by the United Kingdom providing the propulsion heritage, Sweden providing the airframe innovation, and Canada providing the strategic depth. This triangle is an alternative to relying solely on the systems that are used in the United States. A number of innovative fighter designs have been contributed by Sweden, while Rolls-Royce is a company that brings world-class propulsion to the table, and the United Kingdom makes it possible. Canada has a lot to contribute to this alliance, including its industrial potential, its vast Arctic terrain, and its unwavering commitment to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. By cooperating with one another, this triangle creates an alliance structure that is more evenly distributed, ensuring that our voice is heard. In the United States, we are not going to take a period of time off. We remain steadfast allies, but this new path proves there was no act of defiance. simply a few distinct items to consider regarding our own survival. It represents an architecture that is both mature and resilient, in which states that are allies share ideas across numerous hubs rather than relying on a single center of control. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, has become a more powerful organization as a result of the development of technologies by several partners, fostering the sharing of industrial burdens and the reduction of supply chain risk. For those who find themselves in the northern sky of Canada, realism emerges as the victor because the wind causes metal to become frozen, and when temperatures drop to such a low level, electronic gadgets do not function properly. Because of snow, airfields tend to become more compact, and when it comes to supply, continuing from the physical realities of the North, we must turn our attention to an aspect of national defense that is often less romanticized, but equally critical: the sheer economic logic of sustaining air power over the span of half a century. It is simply not sufficient to merely purchase a fighter jet in order to say we have it. The true challenge lies in the ability to operate it correctly, day in and day out, for decades. This monumental undertaking encompasses a variety of facets that go far beyond the initial handshake or the sticker price on the fuselage, including the relentless operations of fueling, maintaining, flying, repairing, upgrading, and sustaining the aircraft through shifting geopolitical tides and fluctuating economic climates. When we look at the balance sheet of modern air power, a stark reality emerges regarding the cost of flight hours, which serves as the heartbeat of any air force. When these costs skyrocket, as they often do with complex stealth platforms designed for the very tip of the spear, there is an inevitable, almost mathematical reduction in the number of missions that are conducted. Pilots fly less because every hour in the air consumes a massive portion of the budget. The frequency of pilot training drops, simulator time replaces cockpit time, and the amount of preparedness available to the Royal Canadian Air Force diminishes. This is a dangerous trap for any military, but for Canada, with its vast airspace that requires constant monitoring, it is unacceptable. Because the Gripen has far lower operational expenses than other aircraft in its class, Canada is afforded a luxurious strategic advantage: the ability to expand the number of flights, training sessions, and patrols without seeing a corresponding reduction in the amount of money available for the national budget. It is a genuine source of power here, rooted in the pragmatic understanding that a fighter in the air is almost always more valuable than a fighter on the ground, regardless of how advanced the latter might be on paper. Fighters in the air maneuver. They react. They deter. They are visible symbols of national will. Fighters on the ground are merely expensive static displays. Flying is a capability in itself, and the Gripen possesses this capability quite a few times over compared to its competitors for the same budget, allowing our pilots to maintain the razor-sharp edge that Canadian aviators are famous for. This economic efficiency opens the door to an option that is mature, well-balanced, and currently being investigated by the military community in Canada with great seriousness: the concept of a mixed fleet. This is where the narrative shifts from a binary choice to a synergistic masterstroke that reflects a sophisticated understanding of modern warfare. We do not need to discard the F-35, rather we need to use it for what it was designed for. These stealth specialists are designed for high-end battle, electronic warfare, and deep strike operations into contested territory. These are specific, high-risk scenarios in which stealth is the deciding element in survival, and they are constructed specifically for these tasks. However, using a stealth asset for a routine border patrol or to intercept a slow-moving bomber is akin to using a sledgehammer to crack a nut, inefficient, wasteful, and degrading to the specialized coding of the stealth aircraft. This is where the Gripen E steps in to become the workhorse of the fleet, the reliable partner that shoulders the burden of the everyday. It takes on the responsibility for daily patrols, the grueling Arctic presence missions, and the conventional sovereignty activities that define our borders. It is also the designated aircraft for the sustained campaign, the one that can fly sortie after sortie without needing extensive downtime or specialized logistical tails. This is the method that is used to spread the operational risk across the entire force, ensuring that the Royal Canadian Air Force is never grounded by a single technical failure or a fleet-wide grounding order from a foreign supplier. Being prepared is enhanced as a result of it because we are not putting all our eggs in one fragile basket. The dependence on any one particular system is reduced, ensuring that if one fleet is grounded for technical reasons, the other can still fight, still fly, and still defend. In addition to this, it guarantees that each aircraft is appropriated to the mission profile that it is most capable of carrying out, maximizing the lifespan and effectiveness of both platforms. There is no competition here between the two airframes. This is an example of synergy at its finest. The planning of Airpower is conducted in a manner that is both professional and anchored in the reality of what Canada actually needs, rather than what salesmen want to sell, proving that we are capable of making decisions based on our own unique doctrine. Among the many advantages that the Gripen possesses, the digital architecture is often regarded by forward-thinking strategists as one of its most significant advantages, perhaps even more so than its kinetic performance in the sky. Because the aircraft is equipped with open technologies and a flexible software backbone, it is possible for other countries to independently incorporate their own weaponry, sensors, and mission data without asking for permission. We have seen this model work before, and there have been instances in the past where local adaptations have been imposed without the agreement of foreign authorities in a number of countries, including Brazil, who took control of their own Gripen program to suit their national needs. The same degree of autonomy would be attained by Canada when it was independent, allowing us to integrate Canadian-made missiles, Canadian-made radar upgrades, and Canadian-made communication systems. Imagine the strategic freedom of having the ability to rapidly upgrade our systems in order to counteract the ever-changing dangers that are available in the modern battle space. We would have the capacity to load systems that were developed using just Canadian components, programmed by Canadian minds, without sending the data back to a foreign server for validation or risking that a foreign power could turn off our capabilities remotely. We would possess the capacity to make modifications to mission software within the boundaries of a nation's borders, keeping our secrets truly secret and our capabilities agile. The degree of adaptability that is required becomes absolutely vital in a world where cyber warfare and electronic hazards are always emerging and evolving faster than hardware production cycles. In order to work in the Arctic, you need to have a consistent presence, not just a theoretical one, and that presence must be resilient against jamming and electronic attacks. There will be no flights on an erratic basis. The North does not forgive absence, and our adversaries are watching. These patrols are not meant to be symbolic gestures. They are a genuine and unwavering willingness to take charge of our territory. It is possible for the Gripen to operate with a little amount of ground support, to warm up quickly in the biting cold, to take off swiftly from icy runways, and to sit on airstrips that are located in remote places in circumstances that would result in the grounding of other aircraft. It is able to withstand the conditions that would break lesser machines. It is most successful in regions that are devoid of significant infrastructure, which describes the vast majority of our northern frontier. Within the event that an unidentified aircraft enters northern airspace, a scenario that is becoming increasingly common as geopolitical tensions rise, or when the coordination of search and rescue activities requires a dependable fighter aircraft to be in the sky immediately, prompt action is taken to ensure that the situation is resolved as quickly as possible. This does not have any glitz or elegance. It is the gritty reality of defense, and it requires a machine built for the task. The following is an explanation of sovereignty in its purest form. It is the ability to say no and the ability to say yes on our own terms. It is not just occasionally showing the flag. It is about being there on a daily basis. Canada needs aircraft that are able to provide protection for the northern region continuously, not just when the weather is nice or the budget allows. Beyond the area of military policy, the topic of discussion here is something that is more fundamental to our national psyche. It is the attempt that Canada is making to establish its identity as a contemporary middle power, a nation that punches above its weight not by mimicking superpowers, but by outsmarting them with efficiency and innovation. Making a decision between different alliances is not the problem at hand, for our alliances remain strong and our commitment to NATO is absolute. For the purpose of determining the extent of control it desires for its own defense, a decision is currently being taken that serves as an illustration of a model in which Canada adjusts technology to match the necessities of the country rather than the other way around. The Gripen, which is powered by Rolls-Royce, is an example of such a model, a testament to industrial cooperation that respects national boundaries and promotes national growth. Through the implementation of this principle, upgrades are carried out at the pace of Canadians, not at the pace of a foreign bureaucracy. It establishes a model in which the aerospace sector in the United States is resilient, productive, and self-sufficient in comparison to other countries, but where Canada is a partner, not a vassal. It is a paradigm in which the nation invests not only in supply chains that are located in other nations, but also in itself, pouring resources back into our own economy, our own universities, and our own workforce. At this moment, the shift from inherited defensive patterns to conscious design takes place. This is the point at which the changeover takes place, moving from a passive consumer of security to an active producer of it. This is the moment when Canada starts to speak with its own unique voice in terms of strategy, a voice that is calm, confident, and distinctly northern. There is a point in time when Airpower aligns with geography, industry, and the sovereignty of a number of different states, and we have reached that convergence. It is crucial to reiterate that the Gripen E does not bring about a decrease in the value of the F-35's capabilities. Rather, it protects them. It brings us to the last point of this strategic argument. On a daily basis, the F-35 should not be doing a number of jobs because of their potential hazardous nature to the airframe's longevity and the secrecy of its electronic signature. As a consequence of this, the entire fleet can be strengthened by allowing each machine to do what it does best. It has the dual effect of enhancing capabilities while simultaneously reducing cost, a rarity in government procurement. During this time, it concurrently increases presence while simultaneously maintaining a high level of readiness. Having a fleet that is well balanced is the foundation for a nation that is robust, agile, and prepared for the uncertain decades ahead. The future of Canada's air power lies in its ability to maintain its independence while still being supported by alliances, striking that delicate balance that has always defined our foreign policy. The meeting of inventiveness and functionality in a single package is rare, but it is present here. Support for sovereign authority through the application of engineering is the Canadian way. The path that is provided by a Swedish fighter aircraft that is powered by a British engine is superior to any other alternative that is currently being explored because it is better appropriate to the conditions that exist in the skies over Canada. This course of action is the foundation of this future, a future where we look up at the sky and know that the roar of the engines belongs to us, controlled by us, and serving us. In the event that you have made it this far, we would like to express our appreciation for your sustained interest in reading this comprehensive analysis of the subsequent chapter in the history of Canada's air power. You need to make sure that you take pleasure in watching this video, that you subscribe to the channel, and that you enable all alerts in order to continue receiving content such as this, which includes coverage of key news, insightful analysis, and coverage of global defense. Your contributions not only make it possible for us to expand this channel, but they also make it possible for us to supply you with more high-quality news pertaining to the military and geopolitics. The beginning of the new era in Canada is just the beginning. And as the engines roar to life over the frozen tundra, we know that Canada has finally taken control. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the future of Canada's aerospace defense. If you found value in this analysis and feel a sense of pride in our new direction, please give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button to stay informed. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you believe a mixed fleet is the smartest move for protecting the North? Are you excited to see Canadian industry and Bombardier playing a major role again? And does this strategy make you feel more confident in our Arctic sovereignty? Let's get a great discussion going. Take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.